Did I start it?
Okay, Chris Speaks back here tonight with Dr. Lucas Wilder, the most premier expert on the Civil War history. In my book, I know he'll probably tell me not to blow his head up like that, but still waiting for somebody to come out that's this knowledgeable. And me and Dr. Wilder, I don't know if he realized this, but I think it was last month actually. This will be the fourth anniversary that we started having these chats. Did you know that, Dr. Wilder?
I did not know. I did not realize that we've been doing it so long.
Yeah, 4 years. Yeah. So we've talked about battles, we've talked about strategies, we've talked tactics, we've talked generals, we've talked everything there is. So we're going to take this in a new direction tonight, and we're going to talk about something different: the legality of secession. Now, Dr. Wilder, let me start off by saying this. In in the groups we see, and I hope nobody gets mad at me for saying this because I'm using these terms with the utmost endearment. I call them lost causers and just causers. But you've got one side that is emphatic that secession was legal, and the other side that says no, it was illegal. Um, was nobody really knows the truth about what took place or what was fact then. It's all opinion. This wasn't decided until the Civil War. I mean, is that a fair statement that people today are basing this off opinions instead of facts?
I believe you're spot on the money with the fact that secession was discussed, and I'll get into it once I start talk efforts, kind of get us a little mini lecture going here, that secession, no one really truly knew whether secession was valid or not ever since the Constitutional Convention in 1787. It had been discussed, or at least the topic of disunion, which subsequently has, is related, well, heavily tied to secession. So it has been a constant on the American people's minds ever since the Constitution was created, and before it was created, as they were discussing and trying to create it. And as the country progressed all the way up until the Civil War, that word disunion and the word of secession get thrown around quite a lot. Did each side thought that the other was bringing about disunion or secession? They were using it as a threat. They were prophesying that it would tear the country apart, and lo and behold, it did. Now, the Civil War, no matter how you want to take it, decided whether secession was legal or not. Under the Constitution, we are ran by three branches of government: the judicial branch, the legislative, and the executive branch. And according to federal law, it is illegal under the Constitution. But that wasn't decided until after the Civil War. That topic had not came through the Supreme Court until after the war.
That was Texas versus White in 1869, correct?
Correct, and we will talk about that a little bit later.
Okay. Um, uh, okay, Dr. Wilder. So I hear people say all the time the founders did not believe in secession. And now my math may be off on this, and I'm just throwing these numbers out here. If memory corrects me. It's like there was like 82 um, constitutional convention people who went to constitutional convention, and something like 59 showed up and 42 ratified. Again, I'm just throwing those numbers out there. But out of these people, I mean, they say, I mean, can we say that, oh, all of them was in agreement that secession was illegal? Or, I look at a guy like, and Alan Henderson, he's a uh, very knowledgeable guy in one of the groups. He brought this to my attention one night that said, yeah, people like Patrick Henry, he believed Patrick Henry would believe in secession. And we tossed Jefferson around. Is it safe to say that some of the founders probably did not believe in secession, some were neutral, and some did believe in it?
That's exactly right. There is not a one person cannot represent the entire founding fathers. That's why I kind of crack up when people say, "Well, the founding fathers believe this." Well, the founding fathers believed a whole lot of stuff, and they didn't even agree with themselves on certain issues. Patrick Henry thought that the United States Constitution was way too powerful and did not like the Constitution. He preferred the Articles of Confederation. And so secession, many people believed that secession was legally possible, but it was sacrilege. So that was one mindset of the founding fathers, that they saw it as legal possibly, but if it happened, it was sacrilege. It was spitting on everything that they worked to create in 1787 when they met for the Constitutional Convention. So that was one mindset of some founding fathers. But if you went with Patrick Henry, who would have said it absolutely was, I would say he would say that secession was completely legal and it was not sacrilege. It was kind of part of the American mindset from the beginning. But ever since the Constitutional Convention, because slavery was brought up in the Constitutional Convention of 1787, it was heavily debated, and the word disunion was thrown in, asking, will this lead to disunion? Or some states saying, I don't want to sign, I will not sign if this is in it or that's not in it. So we have secession all and disunion all thrown around with these early founding fathers. All of them had some form of disunion on their lips, whether for it, against it, or trying to get their way in some way to when they're creating the Constitution. Um, we have, and when we look at the compromises that the United States went through throughout its entire history, there's always the discussion of secession or disunion and trying to hold the country together better. That was the goal. Um, the Articles of Confederation were deemed too weak by most of the founding fathers. That's why they met. They didn't initially intend to rewrite the government, but they found that it basically needed an overhaul, and that's when they come up with the Constitution instead of the Articles of Confederation. And so it was too weak. And so and then the preamble to the Constitution, it says to form a more perfect union. Now, there was already a union with the Articles of Confederation, but now we have a more perfect union. So we get into the idea, and this is more philosophical as more than legal, really, but what is a more perfect union?